there are over 25 U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine, which, if breached, would release and spread deadly pathogens across the United States and the world. And therefore, they must be secured so that we can prevent any new pandemics from occurring.
Yeah, she hates our country because she's worried that a pathogen might escape from a biolab and hurt people. There's no recent precedent for that, so she's clearly listening to Alex Jones too much, and she's treasonous. Actually, everything that Tulsi Gabbard said, as you know, is true.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what InfoWars was built for in times of war and propaganda and the Great Reset. Owen Schroyer live here in the studio, Alex Jones on the road on a working trip. Big things happening in California. We're trying to break down the latest news out of Ukraine, but it's developing so quickly, Alex. I have a feeling, though, we're going to have a lot clearer picture of what this is going to look like after this week and weekend, because something's going to have to give. Either Russia is going to step up their attacks in Ukraine, or the world is going to basically put America into a corner to say back off, and then they'll just have their way with the EU and or NATO and Russia and Ukraine figuring it out. But, you know, what I'm seeing, Alex, is with Zelensky coming to Congress, with all the propaganda in the media, with China, Saudi Arabia talking about using the yuan instead of the dollar, and now they're saying, oh, look, China's economy is crashing, and oh, look, Russia's economy is crashing. The world elites have intentionally done this to the planet. Now they're trying to find their easiest way out, and it's going to be the people, the just common citizen of this planet, that's going to pay the toll. That's what we want to avoid here.
Well, very well said, Owen. That's exactly what's going on. And so people need to understand, I'm not being neutral on this because I want to be on everybody's side. It's the opposite. Our listeners in general hate the Democratic Party, hate the globalists, hate George Soros, and they should. And they are pro-Putin because they see it as, well, you know, he hates the globalists too. He's under globalist attack, so he must be good. All I'm saying is that he's walked into a trap, and the globalists wanted him to do this, and now it's driven Russia into China's arms, and China's now saying they are going to ship weapons to the Russians, including weaponized drones. And I'm talking about the big ones, like, you know, knockoffs of our Predators. So all of this is going on, and the globalists have bitten off a little bit more than they could chew. They wanted to push Russia around. They wanted to be able to take over. They figured they would put Russia in a trap. But now it's accelerating the collapse of the dollar so fast that there are a lot of different powerful forces that now want a resolution of this. But there are a lot of globalist forces that want it to continue to get worse. And make no mistake, a lot of those globalist forces are in Russia. You notice that all these oligarchs, I think it's 14 of them, 14 of the 30 or so oligarchs are Russian Jews. And it's being reported, and there's an article on Infowars.com about it, that they have fled to Israel. And it's in mainstream news that so they can get around the sanctions. They have now suddenly said, oh, no, actually, we've got Israeli passports. And now the Israeli government and others have come out and said, basically, it's anti-Semitic if you put sanctions on them. So the reason I raise that point is to just show how it's all interconnected. There's American connections to Russia. There's Russian connections to Ukraine, Russian connections to Israel. And it's like Russia's like America in that it's got its Democrats and it's got its conservatives and it's got, you know, all these different factions and groups as well. It's not like the Russia that we think of back in Stalin's time or something. And so Putin really doesn't even have full control, shown by him launching this war, and it's not going the way he thought. You know, these governments are incompetent. The world's so big, it's so complex. Is the U.S. government more incompetent than Russia? Yes. Is our military a lot more competent than Russia? Yeah, because the U.S. military is going all the time and has super high-tech systems of coordination, and the Russians don't have that. The Chinese have more of that than the Russians, and now that the Chinese are coming into the proxy war, that's why you're seeing the UN and NATO going, whoa, 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 because if they dump 1,000 drones in there with their equivalent of Hellfires that the U.S. is allowed to be transferred that technology, it's going to get a lot more serious a lot quicker. But a larger takeaway is just the fact that everything we see the Russian government doing, censoring people, they're now starting to do here And when you've got a military veteran and a former member of Congress who has the most popular polling numbers of any Democrat, Tulsi Gabbard's just going, yeah, these chemical labs, these biolabs are important and we need them shut down. The UN even said that. They're like, you're crazy, they don't exist. When they're on record existing, that's a big problem. So let's play this clip. Let's play Tulsi Gabbard's response, and then we'll play Tucker making the point that they're treating Tulsi Gabbard's like she's Alex Jones, because Alex Jones questions things as well. So let's play Tulsi and her response, and let's play the Tucker Gabbard's Jones clip right after that.
Senator Romney, you've called me a treasonous liar simply for stating the fact that there are over 25 U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine, which, if breached, would release and spread deadly pathogens across the United States and the world, and therefore they must be secured so that we can prevent any new pandemics from occurring. Now, bizarrely, you claim that securing these labs, or even calling for securing these labs, is treasonous and will lead to a loss of life, when the exact opposite is obviously true. The spread of pathogens is what will cause the loss of life, not the prevention of such a spread. So, Senator Romney, please provide evidence that what I've said is not true and treasonous. And if you cannot, you should do the honorable thing: apologize, resign from the U.S. Senate. Evidence of the existence of these biolabs in Ukraine, their vulnerability, and therefore the need to take immediate action to secure them is beyond dispute. Just the other day, the State Department's Victoria Nuland acknowledged that these labs that contain dangerous pathogens exist in Ukraine in her testimony to the U.S. Senate.
Ukraine has biological research facilities, which, in fact, we are now quite concerned Russian forces may be seeking to gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces should they approach.
In a Pentagon fact sheet dated March 11th, there are numerous statements that both directly and indirectly confirm the existence of these biolabs. The United States, through BTRP, has invested approximately $200 million in Ukraine since 2005, supporting 46 Ukrainian laboratories, health facilities, and diagnostic sites. On CBS Face the Nation on March 13th, CBS national security correspondent David Martin said that he'd spoken to a Pentagon official just that morning who told him they're concerned about the existence of these biolabs in Ukraine.
The concern is that the Russians will seize one of these biomedical research facilities that Ukraine has, where they do research on deadly pathogens like botulism and anthrax, seize one of those facilities, weaponize the pathogen, and then blame it on Ukraine and the U.S. because the U.S. has been providing support for some of the research being done in those facilities.
Now, in April of 2020, in refuting Russia's accusations that the U.S. was using biolabs in Ukraine to develop biological weapons, the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine acknowledged that there are U.S.-funded labs in Ukraine working with pathogens for vaccines and other peaceful purposes. In a CNN fact check on March 10th, 2022, there are U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine. That much is true. Furthermore, according to the DoD, there are 2 biolabs in Ukraine that have been under Russian control for quite some time. Russia illegally took possession of 2 Ukrainian-owned laboratories that BTRP upgraded in 2014 and continues to deny Ukrainian access to these facilities. So, Senator Romney, you have a choice. Out of pride, continue to deny the truth, or admit that you're wrong, apologize, and resign. Aloha. And remember that without the truth, we can be neither safe nor free.
You know, you can say what you want about her, but I mean, she just comes off as like an angel. And I know she went to Klaus Schwab school, and I know, but I mean, she could also turn back towards the light and not judge a tree by its fruits. And, you know, she's becoming more pro-life. She's not all the way there. She's becoming pro-Second Amendment. And I can tell you the Republicans at the highest levels are scared of her.
By mentioning NATO, a topic that is completely off limits in American media, Zelensky may have gone too far. Daily, in every possible venue, we are told that NATO is paradoxically both of its central importance to the United States and at the same time irrelevant to what happens in Eastern Europe. Sound insane? Well, then you can still think clearly. Yeah, she hates our country because she's worried that a pathogen might escape from a biolab and hurt people. There's no recent precedent for that, so she's clearly listening to Alex Jones too much, and she's treasonous. Actually, everything that Tulsi Gabbard said, as you know, is true. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democrat issue. It's a factual issue. And even in war, truth is a defense. In fact, it's the only defense. Is it true? And in a free country, you can speak the truth.
2 of our best-selling products are back in stock at InfoWarsStore.com. And they will sell out in the next 3-4 months before I get more of the product in if I sell it at full price. But I want those of you that have been on the fence about getting Winter Sun or getting X3 to try the products and see how amazing they are. And I believe you will then get hooked on them like myself, my family, and the crew are. So again, both these products are back in stock. Both X3 and Winter Sun, they are 50% off for a limited time because they're going to sell out at this price. I would estimate in less than a month. So this is your chance to get X3 and experience the good halogens versus the bad halogens. This is your chance to have the highest quality vitamin D3 with vitamin K for your immune system as well. They're amazing, and they're at InfoWarsStore.com. And the reason this is a 360 win is it funds the operation. I need funds to run the operation. You need to be healthy. We need to stay on air. It's a match made in heaven.